of thousands more in the worst floods the Balkan Peninsula has seen in decades. An apartment building under construction in the North Korean capital of Pyongyang collapses. Sources say hundreds have been killed. And meet a young man from France who takes on the challenge of food delivery and service on Korea Today, Monday, May 19th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good Monday morning. You're watching Korea Today. I'm Oh Jin-ju alongside Kim Min-jung and Kim Yo.
President Park Geun-hye held a public address more than an hour ago this morning, apologizing for the ferry disaster that killed at least 286 passengers. She said that she spent many sleepless nights tormented over the loss of lives.
And she also added that she will remember their precious lives by making this an opportunity to renew the country. Now we'll talk to Dr. Kim Byung-ju. He'll be joining us shortly after this.
It became a tearful public address as President Park Geun-hye named some of the victims who sacrificed their lives in trying to save other passengers. President Park apologized for the lack of swift government response in the wake of the sinking of the Seoul-ho ferry as the head of state responsible for the safety of Koreans. She chastised the Coast Guard for having failed to launch immediate and active rescue operations and revealed plans to dismantle the Coast Guard and delegate the responsibilities to the National Police Agency and the Ministry of National Safety that will be newly established. President Park suggested making a special enactment involving the ruling and opposition parties as well as civilians to get to the bottom of the ferry tragedy. She also revealed plans to revise criminal laws to ensure that the people responsible for causing casualties to face grave sentences. And to tell us more about the 24-minute address by the president, we're now joined by Dr. Kim Byung-ju in the studio. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. The address, it took place this morning. It was live and it was televised live as well. Now, the thing is that she was really trying to bring out honesty, and she was trying to reach out to the viewers at the same time. Now,
Right.
she did even tear up at some point. How do you think it was received? And also give us a quick overview of the whole speech in general.
I think the overall reception, we need probably more time in terms of putting together different reactions from different sectors of the society. But personally, for me, I think it was a very effective delivery of her points as well as sharing her emotion with the people. Especially, I think the last part of speech, mentioning specific names of the victims and calling them heroes, I think it was a very effective one. She had her tears rolling down her cheek, and I think in her face we saw the image of both a national leader and at the same time human. And I thought it was, I'm sorry for talking too much about the style here, but I think it really matters because this is a very emotional issue.
Of course.
And she did not wipe her tears. She kept her chin up. And to the very last minute, we saw her tears rolling down on her cheek. And
It
still,
felt genuine,
yes,
we have to
still
say.
calling them the heroes, and then closing the address saying that we will never forget them and have that date remembered by declaring as a national day of, emphasizing the public safety issue. And I thought it was a good mixture of emotion as well as main points of the changes that she would like to introduce as a way of reforming the society and the country. So I think the delivery itself was quite good.
That's May 16th, the day that she is suggesting that we designate it as a special day. And probably one of the most unexpected announcements out of the speech was the dismantling of the Coast Guard and creating different ministry, creating a new ministry, and also delegating some of the responsibilities to the police agency. How difficult or easy of a task is this going to be? And the question is, will it work?
I think the idea is good. I think we should start with that point because initially a lot of people were concerned whether the government announcement or presidential announcement will be something about just creating new on the top of what's already existing. And a lot of people were concerned if that's the case, then it will be rather wasteful. But now she has declared closing down of the Coast Guard, which has been problematic in the whole process from the very initial stage of the rescue and every single step of the way, even accounting the number of the victims and the way they just operate on site. People are extremely angered indeed and dissatisfied with how they are operating. And closing down of the agency itself was, I think, a rather surprise. But replacing its big part of its work of public safety with this newly created organization, I think it's received better because it's not about creating a new organization on the top of what's existing, but she's getting rid of some of the existing functions of not only the Coast Guard, but some other government agencies, and then merging them together, creating new ones. So it was a little bit relieving on my side, seeing this as a not redundant work, but more new creation of new creative thinking of the government organization. So at this point, we still need more details. And of course, it will be challenging to go ahead with the plan itself. But I think the introduction of the idea itself was quite refreshing and quite positive.
Okay. The president did also mention the launch of a special probe, the possibility of launching a special probe into this. And of course, the opposition has been the opposition party has been calling for a joint probe into this disaster.
Right.
Now, do you think this is actually going to yield bipartisan cooperation into the ferry sinking?
I hope so, and this will be a politically very interesting thing to watch because she has already declared that she's closing down Coast Guard. If she had not done so, I'm sure Coast Guard would have become a sandbag where the opposition would continue to blow their punches on them. But now it has been declared already. So looks like the possible focus of this investigation may switch to the past wrongdoings of the past administrations. So politically, in my own observation, this is a quite wise strategy here. And so when they set up and then operate the special investigation, we might actually get to hear a lot about what was happening before her administration. So the overall combination looks pretty interesting.
There was also a host of measures that were laid out by the president during this speech about emergency preparedness. Do you think there was anything that really stood out during her speech?
I think that's what people were expecting, some kind of announcement of some kind of special organization that will carry out this kind of special function. Personally, I was hoping that she would announce something that will streamline what's already existing, because we really don't want to see extra money going into it and people standing by for this kind of major disasters that may not happen, and it could be wasteful. But that was rational thinking here. But politically, this was necessary. So she declared what's necessary, and we just hope that this will work and create enough of based upon which we can make sure that major disasters would not happen. So we will have to wait and see how this will operate. All I'm saying is this was politically necessary. It may not be rationally, theoretically, totally optimal, but we just will have to hope that it will function properly and in an efficient way.
Well, some critics say this public address was long overdue. It came on the 34th day, I believe.
Right.
Although it is not her first apology.
No.
She did make one in the cabinet meeting, and she did make another one at a Buddhist function.
Right.
And also she apologized to the families of the victims herself. So do you think this will she'll be able to win back the trust of the public and just soothe this situation from having further political fallout?
For the sake of national interest, I think we hope that this will be enough of a presidential act for apology and condolences. And as she emphasized, from here, we hope we will go forward from here. Of course, political opposition may want something more, even after this. But as you mentioned, according to the presidential office counting, I think there were 4 occasions of presidential apology before this. This was a real full-scale one in a very formal way here. So with the presidential tears and then her voice is shaking and all that, I don't know how much more emotionally we can expect from the public perspective here. So I'm sure a big part of the public here hopes that this will be the closure at this stage, and they would like to hope, as President said, the nation move forward from here.
Well, moving forward is the important factor of it, and of course, the public wants a leader that they can trust as well.
Right, exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Kim, for your
Thank you.
time.
Thanks.
Good Monday morning. Let's run through the front pages of your newspapers. Most of our papers this morning are carrying top stories on how the search for Yu Byung-hun is coming along. And we'll take a look at that top story here on 중앙일보. First up is this one, and the headline says prosecution will make Yu Byung-hun face maximum legal penalty. Now, the Incheon District Prosecutor's Office issued a stern warning to Yu, the patriarch of the family who allegedly controls the company that operated the sunken Seoul ferry, saying that if he continues to disregard the rule of law and refuse his summons for questioning, the prosecution will make sure he and his sons face, quote-unquote, the maximum legal penalty. Meanwhile, this picture right here onto the sign shows President Park Geun-hye praying at a Catholic Mass yesterday held for the bereaved families of the ferry victims at Myeongdong Cathedral in central Seoul, where she vowed to join efforts by religious circles to help people return to their normal lives. And if you take a look at this headline here, it says President Park Geun-hye will be making a televised address to the nation. As you did hear at the top of the hour, the president will be addressing the public over the Seoul disaster at 9 a.m. this morning. And going back to a Yu Byung-hun related story right here on 동아일보. The headline reads, the prosecution says once Kuwonpa devotees realize the truth, they will not protect Yu Byung-hun. Now, prosecutors have been trying to thwart efforts by followers of a religious sect led by Yu known as Kuwonpa, belonging to the so-called Evangelical Baptist Church, to paint the investigation as a persecution targeting the businessman and his church. Now, in fact, this subtitle above the main title says that they have found circumstantial evidence of Yu having pocketed believers' collection of funds offered for religious reasons to Southeast Asian regions for investment purposes. And switching gears now over in Pyongyang, taking a look at this picture, North Korea's Rodong Sinmun showed, which is this picture here, an official bowing to the public as an apology for the collapse on Tuesday of a 23-story apartment building that was under construction. And the headline beneath here, right here, says that the 23-story building in Pyongyang collapsed. More than 160 people dead. Now, you'll be hearing more details on this story later in News Sum Up, but this paper reports that a Chinese businessman who came out from Pyongyang on the 16th was known to have said that the death toll has already exceeded 160 so far. And let's take a look at one more story regarding Yu Byung-hun here on 조선일보, right in the center right here. And it's going back to some more words by the prosecution. The headline reads, the prosecution says we will have custody of Yu Byung-hun within the week. As I mentioned earlier, Incheon prosecutors on a special investigation team said yesterday that they would pursue Yu and his sons all the way to the end. And in the meantime, tension was rising yesterday in Kumsuwon, the stronghold of the Evangelical Baptist Church in Ansang of Gyeonggi-do Province, over the prosecutors' move to raid it to arrest Yu. Now, this is just part of Kumsuwon that you see here in the picture, which was revealed to the media. And in the background is the building where Yu had his personal studio. And finally, let's go on to the Mail Business newspaper, to this story here onto the side. And the headline reads, pursuing a $3 billion contract for 10-year right to operate UAE nuclear reactor. So despite the ill timing, the subheadline said that the president is scheduled to head to the United Arab Emirates today following her nationally televised address for a two-day trip to attend a ceremony to celebrate the installation of the first reactor constructed by a Korean consortium overseas. Notwithstanding the bad timing of the visit, as the government struggles to tackle the aftermath of the Seoul tragedy, the president is determined to attend the ceremony at the Baraka nuclear power plant to uphold national interests, according to the Daily. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Monday. And coming up are the stock numbers from Friday.
Midday highs will soar to as high as 31 degrees Celsius in Daegu, and this is several degrees higher than the seasonal norm. I'm dreading summer already.
That's right. The thing that's saving us right now is the lack of the summer humidity. Now, once that sets in, that's when we'll have full summer temperatures. But for today's weather, we're hoping for some cool winds at the same time. We'll go now to Chun Sung-cho.
Good morning, Sung-cho.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yes, it does feel like summer indeed. The conditions outside are very pleasant, nice and breezy at the moment. And like you guys said, yes, over the weekend it was very hot and sunny as well, encouraging a lot of people to take short getaway trips to different parts of the country. As of now, we have a high pressure system over the East Sea, which is what's been giving us these pre-summer weather conditions. It'll also provide us with unseasonably high temperatures in some areas today and mostly sunny and clear skies across the nation. However, Jeju will be largely affected by a ridge of low pressure approaching from the southwest as we go further into the day. And this is also going to bring in more clouds nationwide starting in the late afternoon. So be prepared for fluctuations in temperature between the afternoon and the evening. Now let's take a closer look at today's forecast around the nation. Daegu is in the 30s today, which will be the hottest among other major cities. Meanwhile, Seoul's highs are 27 and Jeju is the coolest at 24 degrees Celsius. Also, keep in mind that this morning, the level of fine dust in the atmosphere might go up quite significantly in parts of the nation, so wearing a mask on your way out this morning would be a good idea. This is all for me with the weather update. Now back to you, Minjung, in the studio.
Now, in our global headlines, the Balkan Peninsula is being swept by unprecedented rains, triggering mass floods, evacuations, and widespread damage. For a closer look at this story and other headlines from around the world, we'll turn to Eunice Kim, who is joining us from the News Center. Good morning, Eunice.
Good morning.
This, I believe, is the worst flooding the region has seen.
That's right, Minjung, the worst since records were kept 120 years ago. Now, if you can imagine what 3 months worth of rain falling in just 3 days looks like, it might look a little like something in the video that is to come. This has prompted evacuations of tens of thousands of people throughout Serbia, Bosnia, and Croatia. And the number of casualties from the flooding has exceeded 20, the figures varying at this point and likely to climb. The flooding also triggered more than 3,000 landslides Sunday and threatened power plants in Serbia. Now, that's the main power plant being threatened by floodwaters, and it supplies a third of the country's energy needs. So soldiers and volunteers piling sandbags around the premises to save it. Help is coming from EU nations in the form of rescue teams and humanitarian aid. Russia sent 2 cargo planes filled with food, generators, and boats to help deal with the torrential rain's aftermath. Now, recovery operations in Turkey's worst ever mining accident have wrapped, and with it, the probe into who was responsible for the disaster heats up. The last bodies were pulled out Saturday afternoon, putting the final death toll at 301 people. Relatedly, Turkish police have arrested 25 people in connection to the Soma coal mine disaster. According to Turkey's Dogan news agency, among them were the mine's general manager and the mine operations manager. And the owner of the mine, Soma Holdings, has maintained that the collapse was not caused by negligence, but rather an unexplained buildup of heat. The demonstrations continued into the weekend as hundreds of people occupied the capital of Ankara, Istanbul, and Izmir. Local authorities have also banned protests in Soma.
And Eunice, we've been reporting on a wave of anti-China protests in Vietnam, and now Beijing is saying it will temporarily suspend its bilateral exchanges with Hanoi.
Indeed, China's foreign ministry said the violence in Vietnam resulting in Chinese casualties and property losses had seriously damaged the conditions for bilateral cooperation between the two countries. It's also ramping up evacuations as it issued a travel ban to Vietnam Vietnam for its citizens. Beijing dispatched the first of 5 ships it said it will send to Vietnam to help evacuate its nationals yesterday. And Xinhua News Agency reports 16 critically injured Chinese citizens were airlifted out by Chinese authorities as well. And earlier, 3,000 Chinese expats had fled following deadly anti-China riots that, of course, broke out in Vietnam last week in protest of Beijing's deployment of a giant oil rig near Vietnam's coast in an area claimed by both nations. And that wraps your look at the international headlines we're following this morning.
And still to come on Korea Today, a terrifying yet thrilling dive off a 27-meter-high cliff, a unique perspective of Seoul caught on video, and the brave daredevils from Britain challenging themselves with spicy Korean food. All of this and much more coming up on Viral Feed.
Ko Do-shim and Lee Sun-jae are both very seasoned actors familiar to Korean dramas and movies for their roles as the grandmother and grandfather. And they are involved in a play this time around. And our Yim Yoon-hee joins us for our arts and culture segment to tell us more on this. Good morning.
Good morning, Young. So both of these actors have been in the business for decades. And you know, we've actually seen a trend recently of casting some senior actors for star roles. And so this performance just shows what these actors have to offer. Let's take a look.
His wife is dying, his very first love. After sacrificing everything for her husband and child, Sun-jae is sick, and it pains her family to see her this way. Now, in the face of death, they realize the importance of forgiveness and the purity of true love. Lee Sun-jae and Ko Do-shim are both familiar faces. They've played countless roles in movies and dramas for years in the industry. And now they've come together as a couple, refining their love for each other and for a life as they face the hurdles that come with aging.
Previously, we always played the role of a father-in-law and daughter-in-law, but this time we are actually appearing as a couple, and I'm honored to be next to the great Ko Do-shim.
Although she lived for her husband and child, now confronted with death, she shows the life of a woman, not of a mother and of a wife.
This performance shows Sun-jae as she reflects on her first love. It's beautiful and pure from the wrinkled face to the graying hairs. We have perfectly been transformed to the elderly couple.
Since the debut performance in 2010, the show is now entering its second appearance. It shows the rough edges of a country dialect, but it also reveals the warmth and beauty of love and forgiveness.
The importance of family is really reinforced with this performance.
Seeing how the wife is to the husband to the wife, makes you think about the reality of life.
These veteran actors are some of the most decorated on the screen and the stage, and now they lend their hand to a play that illustrates love, hope, and forgiveness found in the cracks and flaws of a beautiful life.
Now that is bang for your buck. That's a lot of star power wrapped in one play there. And in the midst of an aging society, we're seeing the increase of more plays and performances geared towards the older generation. Now, I feel like I've seen them on TV very recently. I mean, I'm sure it's been reruns of old movies, but also a recent drama, right?
Right, so they're both very active right now in their careers. Ko Do-shim is actually starring in Mother's Garden, which is another drama, and Lee Sun-jae is starring in a comedy drama called Flower Grandpa's Investigator. So both of them, are very busy. Their schedules are busy despite their age.
And the program, Grandpa's Over Flowers, which is a huge hit still, that may have had something to do with this drama.
Right, so Lee Sun-jae actually starred in Grandpa Over Flowers, which was the reality show, and then they made a spin-off into
Lee Seung-gi was also in there, right?
Right, exactly. So he starred in both, and so now he's in this new comedy drama, which is very exciting. Stars some other familiar faces as well. But this trend of casting senior actors in these roles has really been catching on these days because of that reality show.
Okay, that actually Lee Seung-gi was in the female version, Grandma's Over Flowers.
Right.
And then there was also another one that came out with Sunny, I believe, from Soneashide.
They're all very busy.
Well, it seems that it is another generation, and this generation is capitalizing in the play and drama as well as the performance stage. All right, thank you very much, Uni.
My pleasure.
And still ahead on Korea Today, stay with us. Now, if you want to get a model for a business and to try to make it work somewhere else, what do you need to do? You need to learn from the ground up, right? So a Frenchman comes to Korea hoping to learn some business savvy. Now, he's immersed in one of the country's most competitive industries for a taste of their marketing strategies, and that has to do with food delivery. So we'll see him get a chance to learn how to deliver the food from scratch.
Time now for a news sum up as Japan takes steps towards exercising its right to collective self-defense. Neighboring countries are voicing deep concerns.
Right, and it seems that the Japanese public isn't too happy about this either. For more, let's go over to our Seo Mi-sorang at the digital room. Good morning, Mi-sorang.
Good morning.
Good morning, that's right, and even the former Prime Minister of Japan has criticized the Abe administration. But before I get to that, let's first see what else was trending the past 24 hours. An apartment collapses in North Korea while the press gets a limited view inside Kumsuwon, the headquarters of a religious sect led by the Yu family. Yesterday was the 34th year since the May 18th Gwangju Democratic Uprising, while over in sports, soccer player Park Eun-son scored a hat-trick in a match against Thailand on Saturday, qualifying South Korea for next year's FIFA Women's World Cup. Now let's go back to Japan. With Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe making clear that Japan will push forward with a reinterpretation of its pacifist constitution, many have voiced concern and criticism. Let's take a look. Japan is supported by the US in its push for the so-called collective self-defense. But Japan's neighboring countries are wary of Japan's move as they still have painful memories of Japan's past wartime atrocities. Korea's foreign ministry reiterated on Thursday that security changes affecting the Korean peninsula cannot go ahead without Korea's approval, while China criticized the Abe administration for their negative actions, adding that Japan's neighboring countries have legitimate reasons to be wary of Tokyo's true intentions. There were concerns from within Japan as well. Former Japanese Prime Minister Tomichi Murayama said yesterday that it is deceptive for the government to say that it cannot protect its own citizens if it doesn't lift the ban on collective self-defense. He also questioned the purpose of a constitution if it can be reinterpreted with each new administration. Meanwhile, according to 3 separate polls on Japanese public opinion, those against the Abe administration on the matter stood at 50 to 55%, 10 to 25% higher than those supporting it at 30 to 40%. Moving on to our next issue, an apartment collapses in North Korea's capital, killing possibly hundreds. Kim Jong-un is supposedly very upset, while the reclusive state offers a rare public apology. Let's take a look. According to the North State-run Korean Central News Agency yesterday, a 23-story apartment building in Pyongyang collapsed last Tuesday on the 13th. Although it did not specify how the accident happened or provide numbers of the casualties, the building is presumed to have held 92 households, with roughly 3 to 5 family members each. According to the report, the apartment's construction was, quote, not done properly and officials supervised and controlled it in an irresponsible manner, and added that emergency measures had been put in place immediately, although rescue efforts were abandoned by Saturday. Choi Bo-il, the North's Minister of People's Security, is cited as having, quote-unquote, repented for his failure to adequately supervise the project, thereby causing the, quote, unimaginable accident. Meanwhile, another official was cited as saying Kim Jong-un had sat up all night, pained after being told about the accident. Now, this rare admission comes at a time when the North slammed the South Korean Park administration for its questionable handling of the Sewol-ho ferry disaster. That wraps it up for today's News Sum Up. Please take care. I'll be back tomorrow.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off in badminton, where Lee Yong-dae and Kim Ki-jung went into their first competition after being reinstated from their suspension. Well, at least Lee Yong-dae did. With Lee Yong-dae pairing up with Yoo Yeon-sung and facing off against a German pair, they take the match in 3 sets, 21-11, 8-21, and 21-19 to take the match 2 sets to 1. The victory is the first since coming back from his suspension, as the men's team will face off against the host nation India, and the women's team will face off against Australia in the second match of the group stages next. And now moving over to the annual Korea-Japan University basketball competition, as Korea continue their dominance over Japan with 3 straight wins over their opponents. The final game taking place at the Korea University Hwajang Gymnasium. Korea beats Japan 82-77, led by Lee Jong-hyun as he scores 14 points and 6 rebounds in just the second quarter alone. Now with the win, Korea improves their record at 83 wins and 27 losses against Japan in the 37 times that they've held this competition. And now, of course, moving over to the 2014 Women's Asian Cup, where Korea continued their dominance in Group B with a 4-0 win over Thailand. Now, Korea led by Seoul City Hall's Park Eun-sun, who scored a hat-trick in the match. Now, Korea continues their scoring ways after beating Myanmar 12-0 in the first match of the group stages. And now with that, staying in football, but over to Sunday's K-League Classic action, we had one match take place with FC Seoul taking on Seongnam FC, so let's take a look at the highlights. Of course, going into the game here, a rather quiet first half of the match as both sides failed to score as they head into the second half scoreless 0-0. When the second half, both sides get a bit more aggressive, especially FC Seoul continues to fire away, but in the 85th minute, Park Ki-sung with a brilliant overhead kick, finding the back of the net. Holy cow, a brilliant goal here. And that's your final score here as FC Seoul pulls away with a 1-0 win over Seongnam FC. And now moving over to some Sunday's KBO action this time as the Doosan Bears end their 7-game winning streak, losing to the NC Dinos 9-4 with the Samsung Lions beating the Kia Tigers 8-2. And the Lotte Giants, thanks to Hwang Jae-gyun's grand slam, beat the Nexon Heroes 11-6. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Hanwha Eagles looking to win their series against the SK Wyverns. Of course, going into the game here, first inning, man on second, Luke Scott singles to right. An RBI single gives the SK Wyverns the 1-0 lead. Bottom of the inning, Chang Moon-ho doubles to left center field. Lee Yong-gyu scores all the way from first, and we're tied 1-1. Not done yet. Kim Tae-gyun this time singles to left, and the Hanwha Eagles have the lead 2-1. Fifth inning, Hong Myung-chan singles to center field, and we're tied 2-2. Sixth inning, bases loaded for Lee Dae-soo, and he capitalizes on the intentional walk from the previous batter with a 2-run single, and the Hanwha Eagles have the lead again 4-2. And despite SK Wyverns with 12 base hits in the game, they never come back as the Hanwha Eagles take the series with a 5-2 victory. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Good morning, I'm Simon O, and this is Viral Feed. We have a roundup of some of the hottest stories to be making waves across the internet last week. Now, as we mentioned earlier, we're already experiencing a little bit of the early summer heat here in Korea, but our first story is going to show us something amazing. It's sure to cool off some of this heat we've been having. Let's have a look at the video. This is a beach in the Cuban capital of Havana. And against a beautiful backdrop, we find a cliff diving competition is taking place. Now, athletes have gathered from all over the world, and boy, do I mean athletes. From atop a nerve-wracking cliff, divers jump off a board and plunge into the ocean below, seemingly without any apparent hesitation. And as you can see, these are no ordinary cannonballs. They're demonstrating some extreme skill. Mid-air twists and turns off a spot 27 meters high. Put that in perspective, that's roughly the equivalent to a 10-story building. Now, during the drop, they reach speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. I don't know about you guys, but just watching that video is enough to make my knees go a little bit weak. Now, the top honors of this competition went to England's Blake Aldridge, and I'm going to quote the great Buzz Lightyear, at least lightly. He didn't fly, but boy, did he fall with style. Now,
is there a way I can keep this video for myself?
look it up online with that video, and I'll tell you, there are some, that was just the highlights, but if you look at some of the other videos, there is really some amazing stuff going on. Now, Korea, of course, is known as a powerhouse when it comes to b-boy dancing. What does Seoul, the city, then look like through the eyes of a b-boy? Let's find out. We find our stars showing off different parts of Seoul through a unique video that, at least for me, I just can't take my eyes off of it. It's mesmerizing. He's none other than b-boy world champion Dizzy.
I'm Dizzy. I'm a 10-time world champion b-boy.
Now, the first location in this spotlight for the video tour, which is to be presented as a series actually, is Itaewon, a neighborhood known for diverse cultures all coming together. We stop by with a visit to a seasoned seamstress making a jacket with alarming skill at her sewing machine in a shop that claims to make anything you can order. And how about this? Hats. Who knew that hats and breakdancing go so well together? Just looking at this video, you'd think they were born for each other. Now, the video introduces the city of Seoul with beautiful footage and skillful production, and it's drawing plenty of attention from the online community for its ability to bring to life the hottest spots in Seoul, especially Itaewon, almost as if the viewer is visiting firsthand. And I, for one, can't wait to see what's next on the list after Itaewon on Dizzy's tour of this beautiful city of Seoul.
Don't you just love the way they walk with the grooves?
They got the swag.
So much
swagger these days,
So
right?
much swagger. And I have to say, I have expert testimony that will tell you that I am literally the worst dancer in the world. So watching a video like that, I am
You say something like that,
impressed.
next thing we ask you to do is dance.
That's what we call in Korean a broadcast accident, so I'm not going to do that. Let's move on now. In the U.S., we have a video that captures a heroic feline saving the son of the family from a dog attack, and this video has quickly gone viral. Let's have a look at it now. As you can see, the video is titled, "My Cat Saved My Son." A small child is riding his bike and playing in the driveway, but a dog that was loitering nearby suddenly and viciously attacks the unsuspecting boy.
why?
But just then, watch this.
no.
The cat runs out and bravely slams its body into the much bigger dog, chasing it away, saving the child from a graver fate. Let's see it again in slow motion. Pow!
Wow.
He's like a ninja cat. It's amazing. I love that.
Cats do that?
I thought it
amazing.
was the other way around.
Exactly.
I thought the cats attack and
Normally,
the dogs
you wouldn't
save.
expect to see that. Now, this video racked up over 8 million views in just 2 days. And in the last 5 days, it's gone up to 20 million views. And it's been hugely popular all over the world. We're told that right now the child is recovering with just a couple of stitches. People online are actually not withholding their praise because they learned that the cat was picked up by the family as a stray. Now, a lot of people are saying that the cat was perhaps repaying the debt. Here's my theory, though. A couple of weeks ago on Viral Feed, we did a piece on babies meeting dogs for the first time. I have a feeling that cat was a little bit jealous of all the canine attention. So we have our new star. Now, finally, let's move on to our final item. If you're a big fan of Korean food, you'll know that one characteristic that you absolutely cannot leave out is its fiery spiciness. So, how does that work overseas? Let's take a look. This is a YouTube personality who goes by the ID British Man.
영국 남자.
I love that. He puts up videos about Korea on his page, and he's become quite popular here. And the video he recently put up where he challenges his friends to eat spicy Korean food has gone very viral. Now, this particular brand of spicy noodles was released in 2012 and has since sold, get this, 100 million packets, gaining huge popularity here for its spiciness. How will these folks react to it?
It's really spicy. Even
It's
for
very
Korea.
spicy.
Yeah.
And it creeps up on you.
Yeah.
Jinju could have that whole bowl, no problem. No water needed, no milk required.
Now, the thing with the video is, at first it seems all is well, but now in the video, as you can see, that tranquility doesn't last. Some of these reactions are just priceless. I'm going to give you a minute to just enjoy them. There's something zen about it all.
It lingers, that spiciness factor.
And it grows on you, doesn't it? It fills your head with the spiciness.
It might grow on Jinju, but not me. Or Minjung, right?
You know, Young knows that I have a penchant for British men, but British men who can handle spicy food all the more.
Poor Josh. He's the final guy in the video, and obviously he's not having a whole lot of fun.
The milk helps, but only for a little while.
You know what helps when you have spicy food? When you know what helps neutralize that spiciness? Kimchi. It's amazing.
What? That's exactly an amazing tip.
It works. It
I've
works.
not known about that. That's
So you
an
fight
excellent
fire
tip.
with fire, in essence.
Huh, yeah, all right, I guess technically, yeah, what is this?
I don't know. I think it works. It works for me.
All right, well, with that, hopefully, I think a little bit questionable tip, I'm going to wrap it up. That's this week's Viral Feed. I'll see you again next week with more.
It's Monday, which means it's time for our ins and outs segment. And Chamina joins us this morning with a man who wants to learn how to deliver food. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. That's an interesting wish, right? Someone would want to do, but it is unique to Korean culture. The delivery service industry here is very, rampant, and a lot of people take note of that.
You
just
can
because
pretty much order everything and get it delivered.
And if they don't deliver it, you could have someone get it for you.
Exactly. So you can see where our guest's interest was piqued. So today we're going to be meeting a Frenchman, Guillaume Leonard, who will try out delivery service for the first time. So let's check it out. Our guest today is Guillaume. Will he be able to fulfill his wishes with the help of ins and outs?
My name is Guillaume, and I'm studying marketing in Korea, and I'm looking for a job. So my resume.
The marketing major came to Korea a year ago to get exposure to Korea's business industry, but has not been able to experience a lot of things since then. What he wanted to experience the most was working part-time at a fried chicken restaurant, which is not only the crowned glory in the nation's delivery service sector, but also where the new Korean wave craving overseas for chicken and beer, or chimek, was born.
I like how we call it the fried chicken experience. Fried chicken experience.
Will he be able to learn about Korea's chicken business, which is known as one of the toughest markets? A major aspect in Korea's restaurant industry, deliveries, and that's where Guillaume starts.
전화 받자마자 감사합니다. 정직한 컬트 치킨입니다.
The basics, right?
His Korean is a bit shaky still, though. Will he be able to take orders?
Menu and payment, right?
Guillaume builds up some confidence with the help of the owner and lots of practice.
주문은 함영 메뉴로 도와드릴까요?
주문은 어떤 메뉴로 도와드릴까요?
도와드릴까요?
Wow.
Let's see if Guillaume's hard work pays off.
네, 감사합니다. 찜찍한 킬트 치킨입니다.
Kiltu chicken?
요인 하루 5번 출구. 네, 감사합니다. 사장님, 연년 반 프라이드 백입니다.
양념만 프라이드 반? 그럼 같이 한번 해볼까?
네.
He gets to make
half
fried
and
chicken
half.
too.
Chicken boasts great texture and taste, and also is one of the quickest evolving foods, and this is because of customers' tastes.
손볼링으로 치기듯이 손에 자기 붙지 않게 하고 닭끼리 치는 게 아니고 손으로.
Rotisserie chicken became a hit menu for Korean consumers in the 1960s, and since then, fried chicken, glazed chicken, braised chicken, fiery hot chicken, and barbecue chicken have all grown into favorites for Koreans. The order that they're making right now, half glazed, half fried, is a popular item on the menu because it gives you variety.
안에서 바깥으로 밀듯이 해야지 기름이 이쪽으로 튀지 이리로는 안 튀어요. 기름이 일로 튀는 건 얼굴하고 다 위험하니까 이쪽으로 바깥으로.
Learning how to cook safely is a mandatory step that all part-time trainees at chicken restaurants have to go through.
If I work here for one day, I want to do my best and to cook the best chicken.
Oh, that looks good.
Finally, his first batch of fried chicken is done. But today's delivery address was Hangang River, right? How will he deliver to a location that doesn't have an exact address? Getting a delivery ordered quickly to a customer is something that foreigners find fascinating with Korean businesses.
Vast area too.
But it's not an easy thing to do.
치킨인데요. 어디에 있어요? 한강 앞에 있어요? 알겠어요.
In front of Hangang River.
One cell phone call later, Guillaume finds his customers. There they are.
You're supposed to be running, by the way.
Now, despite the irresistible aroma of the chicken, something else caught the attention of this group.
이름이 뭐예요?
저는 기욤이에요.
기욤? 어느 나라에서 왔어요?
프랑스 사람이에요.
아, 프랑스.
맛있게 해주세요.
네.
Also be cute.
He's spending too much time there.
You're fired.
Succeeded.
I met very good people, and it was a really interesting experience because in France, you can't deliver to park or like along the river. So yeah, it was very surprising for me.
Guillaume's Lenard's workday as a part-timer is not over yet. The store gets busy around this time because it's when people drop in for a chicken and a drink after a long day of work.
네, 뭐 드릴까요? 네, 생맥주 2개.
He looks like he's adjusted pretty well, and though he's only been working here for a short time, the experience has already given him some insight.
And you have to be quick and remember everything. I could be close to the customers and try and see how they react when you are working with them.
Okay, now he's done, and all that's left is to get paid.
오늘 힘들었어요. 진짜.
오늘 고생 너무 많았고요. 다음에 기회 되면 한번 또 뵙겠습니다.
감사합니다.
고생 많으셨어요.
네, 고맙습니다.
Getting rewarded after working hard is most certainly the best part.
Wow, I didn't expect to get that much money. 사장님 너무 좋아요.
사장님 너무 좋아요. It looked like a handsome paycheck right there.
Yeah.
Any word on how much he got paid?
Yeah, he was able to share that very personal information. He said he got 50,000 won for the day. That's about an 8 hours day of work. Roughly translates to about 6,200 won an hour.
So not bad.
That's an average wage these days for part-timers.
Now, Korea's business sector is rather fast-paced. Restaurants, they come and go, some stay around, and it's just very, very busy, and you have to keep evolving with time. Is that one of the reasons that Guillaume wanted to come to Korea to learn about business here?
Yeah, absolutely. He first actually came to Korea as an exchange student 2 years ago, and his interest in the delivery service industry was piqued then, and it actually drew him back to Korea for that. So he just noticed that everything is very quick-paced, and it's an efficient service, and you go to these vast areas, for instance, so it drew him to Korea for that reason. And being that he's also a marketing major, I think that piqued his interest more.
And he's learning from ground up, which is amazing, which is what you're supposed to do, actually.
Right, to gain experience.
Other than the delivery service, is there any other part-time jobs he tried out in Korea?
Well, he said right now that he's teaching French to some students in Korea, being that he is from France, and a lot of people want to learn that language. He's doing that. But he said that his he's not fluent in Korean just yet. So that right now is sort of a hindrance for him getting some other part-time jobs that he might be interested in.
He sounded just fine when he did 사장님 고맙습니다 or something, right? But it's not just Guillaume. A lot of university students these days are trying their hand at different part-time jobs to see what they like and what kind of future careers they can pursue.
And that's an interesting part of it all, because before, a part-time job would mean just extra money, an extra allowance to spend. But these days, university students are taking the initiative to look for jobs that are related to their majors, for instance, or something that they can gain as experience in a career. So we're seeing a shift in the kind of idea or what a part-time job really means to someone. So it also can be a great time to network, for instance, or to develop one's interests.
Okay. Well, it seems that that's not the only thing that's shifting these days, because when you used to ask like international students or foreigners coming to Korea a couple years back, you know, kimchi would be like the representative food. Nowadays, like shifting over to other things like chimek, you know, that's becoming a representative food of Korea as well.
Yeah, chimek, which is chicken and beer. It's becoming Korea's representative food, and it was made very popular through that recent drama, My Love from the Star. And a recent survey on foreign students in Korea showed just that foreign students think that Korea's representative food is chimek, and instead of kimchi, which is a different notion from before.
Because fried chicken, neither beer or fried chicken are actually from Korea.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting part of that? Yeah. So we're seeing a shift in that trend, as well as just fried chicken shops and Korean barbecue restaurants in general, being that people think they will do very well in their home countries for foreigners.
And foreigners are so fascinated by the delivery culture. We talked about this just now, but everything is deliverable. And so a lot of foreigners find that quite fascinating.
It is an interesting part of Korean culture, I have to say, because deliveries aren't just limited to food. It goes to a variety of different subjects. With quick service, for instance, anything can be delivered in an hour. Supermarket can also be on the internet, as well as wedding gifts can be delivered now.
Oftentimes without surcharge too, so without charging on top of that product itself, delivery comes for free too.
And delivery is getting faster and faster with smartphone applications we can use. Just a tap on your smartphone, then you can get what you want.
You don't have to use the phone and talk to someone to make an order anymore. All of that is available on the convenience of your mobile phone.
Maybe we're getting too lazy.
I think, and less communication and interaction with people now, right?
On that note, should we order some chicken and beer to the studio right now?
Well, if we can find a place that's open right now, I think that's a good call.
All right, Mina, thanks for this.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, that just about does it for this edition of Korea Today.
And thank you for joining us on This Morning.
Bye-bye.
A digital revolution, the evolution of TV. Smart TV. What happens when Smart TV meets Arirang? Download Arirang app from Smart World App Store. And click away on the programs of your choice. New hot clips updated every day. From A to Z of your favorite stars.
Hello!
To the hottest K-pop tunes. Major economic and cultural issues of Korea. The latest Korean news at prime time on Arirang News.